Hi, and welcome to Marketing Live TV, where you can engage in real life marketing live on the show. This week, we're going to talk about SMS marketing for your business and how you can, what to do, what to consider, and how you can get the best out of SMS marketing, and what the insights that I've got after sending over 1 million SMS messages and analyzing the results and understanding what works and what doesn't work and how it'll work. So get a bit of insight into how it could work for your business by watching and engaging in the show. So thanks for watching, and let's get into this week's show on Marketing Live TV. Alright, so thanks for watching. I'm Jason, and this is Marketing Live TV, where you can engage in real life marketing live on the show. So before we get into the show on SMS marketing, I just want to say thanks for watching, and if there's any part of the show or any part of the content that you like, please engage in any of the channels there. We'll be happy to communicate with you. If you are interested in having a feature done with your business, we've got a few of those coming up. Feel free to connect with us. We'll come and chat with you and discuss what we can do. And if you just want to sit back, kick back with a drink and watch the show, then feel free to join us on those channels. So this week we want to get into SMS marketing and how SMS works, particularly for business. Now, we've all sent a message on our phone to our friends, but when we're talking for business, it's a totally different story. So it's one of the most underutilized communication platforms available to businesses, but there's some pros and cons to it that you really need to be aware of before you dip your toe into the SMS pool, let's just say. So the SMS marketing is very easy to understand. You send a message to your customers and they get that in their phone. So let's initially just discuss SMS and what SMS and how and what factors you need to consider when creating an SMS campaign for your business. So to start with, I'll start with the pros and cons, and I'll actually start with some of the downsides of SMS first, because they're the most critical that you need to be aware of. So some of the cons for SMS marketing is that it has a short character limit. So you've got 160 characters to get your brand, your message, your call to action, and your and everything else all included into that. So you need to really consider how you structure your messages. Now, you can pay for multiple messages if you want to join them together, so you can have 320 characters on a message. But depending on the scale of what you're sending, that may not be feasible. So if you're sending large volumes or you have a large database and the interaction for those is high, then you'll want to sort of keep those up. And so making sure that the messages are short is one of the factors. The creative limitations of SMS is another one. You can't portray a picture with 1,000 words in an SMS message. Now, MMS messages is a totally different story, and we'll get into that in another show. But in SMS messaging, it's text, and that's it. So that's all you have to work with. Now, another factor that you need to consider, and probably the most critical factor when it comes to SMS for business, is the disruptive nature of an SMS. Now, when I say disruptive, generally people have their phones with them all the time, and if they receive a text message, and the initial reaction that people have is that it's not from a business, it's from someone that knows their details and that they knows their personal details. So if the message needs to be valuable enough to disrupt their day. For example, if someone is sitting in the lounge watching TV and they're watching their favorite show and they're eating their dinner and then they get a text message. Now, by them looking away from their show, stopping eating their dinner and looking at that message, whether they should do that or not, it's a completely different story, but if they do that, you've disrupted those two things that they're interested in. So you need to make the reason that you sent that SMS more valuable than that. So the disruptive nature of SMS is one of the critical factors that you need to consider, and it's one of the cons because it's a limitation, and it will significantly affect your opt-in, opt-out rates if you don't manage it properly. So some of the pros for SMS messaging. So let's understand what SMS messaging allows for. It allows an immediate engagement. So if someone has done something and it triggers an SMS message to their phone and they look at that, it's immediate. They can see it, they can action it, and they can do it. And in general, the rule is that most SMS actions are taken within 4 minutes of that SMS being read or opened. So that leads to the second part or advantage of SMS messages, is that it is engaging. You can send, especially with modern phones these days, you can send phone numbers, you can send actionable links, you can send creatively structured SMS messages through text structure, and we'll go into that at another point. And then, so it is an advantage that they are engaging in that people do need to action it. And action is the third pro of SMS messages, is that because it's delivered directly to the phone, the action rate on SMSs is much higher than pretty much any other communication channel. So, for example, it's unlikely that you'll be filtered out like you would an email to a folder, or it's unlikely that you'll be blocked in any particular way unless you are sending bulk messages that aren't warranted. But that's again another a story for another show. So sending SMS messages, cons, disruptive. There's limitations to what you can do, and the size of the characters, number of characters that you can use. The pros: immediate, it's actionable, it's engaging. Now, so let's just say that you've overcome that. So then what you want to do is understand the type of message that you want to send. So is it an informational message that is based on some form of interaction? For example, if someone has gone to your website, selected, yes, I'm interested in your event, and then they register for that event, and then you send an SMS message to their phone to say, we've acknowledged your registration, we'll send you an email with more details. Great. It's an informational message. It's not a promotional message, which is the second type of message, which is where there's some sort of advertising or promotion offer that is not necessarily, although it can be, initiated by an action. An example of that would be you're part of a subscription or you have a membership of some company, and then they send you a promotional offer, because of your membership. So then that will be a promotional type of SMS messages. The two are slightly different in how how you would structure them, but effectively the same rules apply. The engagement level on the first informational type is much higher than the promotional type. In addition, the opt-out rate of the informational type of SMS is much lower than the opt-out rate of the promotional type of SMS. But they are the two types of SMS messages that you can send for business. So then one of the last parts that you need to consider once you've understood a bit about SMS messaging, the types of SMS messages, is what you are going to say and when you are going to say it. So in sending over 1 million SMS messages for a variety of different reasons and testing a number of all of these, my insights into ensuring that you do get a relevant and decent response from SMS messaging is to, one, include your brand, include the brand that you have, that you're communicating with that customer from. So you can do this in a number of ways. It can be as a part of what people would recognize normally as the phone number. The first way, there's three ways. Second way is to include your brand name in the message. And then the third way is to pass a contact to that person to get them to store that contact so that they have your details and then messages are referred to as your brand. Now the third is the most technical and generally requires a bit of effort on the customer side. So they have got to value what you have to say if you're going to get to that stage. If you get to that stage, you have a place in their phone, and that is golden. But the first two types are most likely. Now the second type, in putting the brand in the message, does one thing, is that it reinforces whatever the brand is, but it does take out the characters from the message. So just be mindful of that. If you have a long brand name, you're going to reduce the number of characters that you can include in the rest of your message. So the second thing that you need to make sure that you do when you send any SMS messages is have a call to action. You've got 160 characters, you've got to include your brand, but then you need to include what they need to do. So if it's an informational SMS, you need to direct them from what they have done to what they need to do next. So in the example used before, they've registered for an event and you've told them that you would send an email with more details to their email address. Then that directs them to go to their email and look for that email. From a promotional type, you need to include a phone number or a link. Now, remembering that if you use a link, things like bit.ly or short URLs are almost critical for SMS messaging. Another tool which I'll include in the content areas is the Google URL Builder. It does have if you are adding tracking links to an SMS, that allows you to shorten a tracked URL, which can be quite long. Again, I'll go into that in another show. So include your brand, include your call to action, an opt-out message. Now, from a regulatory legal point of view, you have to include that. How can someone opt out of you sending them messages? Can't stress enough, you need to have a solid foundation for gaining and opting out members from your database. If they choose to opt out, it's up to them. Let them do it. Don't keep sending them messages, because legally you'll be in a world of pain if it gets followed up. So structurally, you've included your brand, you've got a call to action, you've got your message, and you've got your opt-out. Great. The next three things are about overcoming that disruptive nature, or ensuring that what you send is relevant. So the first of the extra SMS, we'll call them building tools or items, is timing. So you need to understand when it's going to be sent, is it relevant, and is it appropriate. So if you're sending SMS messages, so in Australia, let's say you have a national database and you send an SMS at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and you're based in Sydney, and your national database is also based all the way out to Western Australia. Now, at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, that will be okay. But if you were to change that timing and send it at 7 o'clock a.m. in Sydney, you're then sending the people in New South Wales, the people in Western Australia, SMS message at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, you might want to do that. I recommend against it, and generally the people who are getting those SMS messages at 4 in the morning would probably not be appreciative. So make sure that you have an understanding of who's going to receive your message when. If they've performed an action, how long after that action are they going to get that message, and will they remember that they've done it? If it's within 24 hours, you'll likely have a really high engagement rate. If it's a week after they've done something, they may or may not remember, depending on how engaged they are with your brand, what they've done. All right, so relevance. That leads on to relevance, which is the making sure that the message is relevant to not only what the customer has done, but their current details. So this means that you need to make sure that your data is clean. The information you have on your customer is clean and up to date. So for example, if someone has moved address and they've done so 6 months ago, and in a perfect world they will let everyone know, but that doesn't happen. So if some indicator that you have has suggested that that may have occurred, don't send them, for example, if they've moved to WA and you're sending SMS messages to their phone thinking they're in New South Wales, that might not be the best idea. So make sure it's relevant. Now, the last one is value. Now, this is a sense check. This is the key sense check against the disruptive nature of SMS. Now, are you providing enough value to interrupt someone's day? And as a rule of thumb, if a customer is looking for your product, is it valuable enough for you to interrupt their lunch? And if you can say yes to that, then you can send that message to them without any issues whatsoever. But if you question whether they would be interested in that, then the likelihood that they are not going to want to receive that SMS, or that they might be doing something more important. Do you need to change the timing? Do you need to change the message? Can you make it more relevant? Can you increase the value of of them receiving that SMS message? If you can do that, then by all means do it, because you'll get a much higher response rate and a much more engaged member. Right, so quick overview. pros and cons of SMS. Definitely a disruptive communication channel, but the engagement is there, and it's direct and it's actionable, and people do action SMS messages, and they action it quickly. The two types of SMS messages: informational and promotional. And then make sure you include your brand, your call to action, your opt-out messaging. Make sure the timing is appropriate and that the message is relevant to the customer, and by all means make it valuable. So that's it for Marketing Live TV for this week. I hope you have enjoyed the show. Please, if you have liked any part of the content or you like any part of the show, engage with us on any of these channels, and we will get back to you and happy to work with any questions, any ideas. If you've got any ideas for shows or anything you would like insights on, or if you would like to come and join the show, please feel free to just shout out. And so that will be it for Marketing Live TV for this week. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for next week as we bring you more from Marketing Live TV.